Hello everyone, I have returned from my long slumber to do a service to the world over here by ranking some UK cereals. Now, I have seen things like this. There's a lot of cereal tier lists on the internet, but they concern mainly the American ones, particularly stuff like Lucky Charms and the one with the fucking pirate. But we don't get that stuff over here. We get some other cereals. For what reason, I'm not sure. Probably something to do with advertising. Some stuff just doesn't happen over here, like Dasani water, which is huge in America, but just never landed over here. That was, of course, because their tagline was bottled spunk. But anyway, this is about cereal. So this is something that I'm very knowledgeable on. This is something I know a lot about, and I care deeply about. You know, every morning I have my breakfast, and I always have cereals of different kinds. I go to the supermarket. I try to get different ones to expand my horizons and to try new ones that I've not had before. So on that basis, I think I'm quite in a position where I can accurately rank this. So let's go. So to start off, we've got Alpen, which is generally a very healthy cereal. It's not great, but it's not bad. So I think it's actually a good place to start us off with a nice healthy C. I would probably have it, but I wouldn't seek it out over some other ones. Next up, we've got Bran Flakes. I love Bran Flakes. They are very healthy, obviously, but they also taste great and featured in SpongeBob, which is always, something to note as part of a cereal's quality. So on that basis, I think Bran Flakes is going to go in A tier. It's not quite at that next level that will get it as an S tier, but still a great cereal, great way to start your day. Next up, we got Cheerios. Now, Cheerios are a classic. They're a staple. To me, they don't have the most amazing taste. Of all the cereals I've ever tried, it's kind of regular. There are interesting twists on it that do improve it. In its base quality, Cheerios is not something that is amazing to me. But because of its reputation and popularity, we're going to put it... Oh, I fucking scrolled. We're going to put it in the B tier. Next up, we got Coco Pops. Now, I got to be honest with you. I am not a big fan of chocolatey cereal. I like a bit of chocolate in my cereal, but I don't want to be overloaded by it. So, Coco Pops is just chocolate. It's Rice Krispies, obviously, but with a coating of chocolate all over. And I have never enjoyed it in my life. I get it's popular, and I get people like it, but I don't. And obviously, I'm right, and they are wrong. So, because of this, Coco Pops is going in D. It's not awful. I would have it if I have to, but it's D nonetheless. So, next up, we've got... it looks like chocolate Shreddies. Now, I love Shreddies, and I think we'll get... Yeah, there's the regular Shreddies here, but this is the chocolate version, which to me is a downgrade. I would rather have the regular one. So, because of this, we're going to put Shreddies in the... We'll say the C tier, because Shreddies have unique qualities about its texture that Coco Pops does not have. So, despite the fact it's still a chocolate one, it is... to a certain extent better than Coco Pops, and we'll get onto this. Next up, we got Cookie Crisp. Cookie Crisp, great cereal, and it does have a lot of chocolate on it, granted, but it's just little speckles. It's not a whole coating. The main event in the mouth is the cookie, which is great, and it also lasts a long time in milk. I think a problem that you often get with cereal is you put the milk in, a minute later it's fucking slop. But Cookie Crisp is nothing like that. You can pour some Cookie Crisp, pour the milk in, 10 minutes later it's still perfectly fine to eat, and it's still got a nice texture. So definitely Cookie Crisp, great taste, great texture, great milk withstandance. So for this reason, Cookie Crisp for sure going in A. Next up, we got Cornflakes. Now, obviously, Cornflakes is probably the most famous cereal of all. Everybody knows it. Probably most people have had it at one point in their life, but that doesn't mean it's good. It was really the first popular cereal to be sort of pervasive around the world, but it's very plain. It's not got any flavoring. It's not got anything of interest. It is just flakes of corn. So while I appreciate its, lofty reputation in the cereal game, to me, I can't rank Cornflakes, any higher than a D. To be honest with you, it's not something I would have, on a day-to-day basis, definitely. On the other hand, Crunchy Nut, which is, if I were to pick one cereal that was my favorite of all time, it would without a doubt be Crunchy Nut. It's nutty, it's flavorful, it has a great texture, it's great with and without milk, because without milk applications are important too. There's some cereals that are great in milk, but not great without. Cookie Crisp, you can't really have dry. Same with something like Cheerios too. But Crunchy Nut you can have dry, you can have with milk, and it's great nonetheless. And what I often find is that the change actually is quite variable, just depending on the day. Even if it's the same box, sometimes it'll taste one way, sometimes it'll taste another way, and that adds a sense of interest where, I've gone years on end having Crunchy Nut every morning, but it's interesting enough where it keeps my focus. So for that reason, Crunchy Nut going an S, without a doubt. Next up, we've got Curiously Cinnamon. I don't like cinnamon. I don't think many people do either. This is a very niche cereal. So for this reason, we're going to put it in E. I don't have much to say about it. Shreddies, on the other hand, I definitely do. Shreddies are brilliant, although they have quite a plain taste. It's sort of interesting shape with the holes in it. It means that when you eat it, the milk sort of spills out in your mouth in a really nice way. Really appetizing, really nice. Though not great without milk. Without milk, it's quite plain, but still a great cereal. I had it this morning, in fact. So it's going in A. Next up, Frosties. A classic. Everybody knows Tony the Tiger. Definitely probably the most famous cereal mascot. So for that reason, I'm going to say I'll put it in B. It's basically cornflakes, but with the sort of frosting on it, which is nice, but it still has some of the setbacks that cornflakes brings, like its poor tolerance with milk, and just generally it's not a super interesting cereal. But no, it's still a good one, still a nice one that I have occasionally. So that's definitely good. Next up, we've got Fruit and Fibre. Oh yes, this is the health option, definitely. Fruit and Fibre I have had. It's okay. It's not fantastic, but it definitely serves a purpose. So for that reason, I'm going to put it in a nice middle of the road C. And I understand the hate I will get for ranking Fruit and Fibre over Coco Pops, but frankly, I don't give a fuck, because I'm right and you're wrong. Next up, we have got Golden Grahams. I have actually never had this, so I have no idea if they're any good or not. I'm going to put it in C, just to say, well, it might be good, it might not. We'll see. Golden Nuggets, a great cereal. Interesting round shape. I like the sort of connection to mining, and it's like a piece of gold ore. That's a nice little thing. It has a great taste, really interesting and unlike any other cereal. There's a lot of cereals that taste the same, like Ricicles taste like Frosties, but there's nothing that really tastes like Golden Nuggets in both flavor and texture. And it's also quite resilient to milk, even if sometimes the sort of outside of it gets kind of soggy and soft, but once you bite in, there's still that crunch that remains, obviously due to it being a circle and not like some kind of thin flake. So definitely Golden Nuggets is a high ranking member here. It's going up in A. Next up, we have got Honey Nut Cheerios. We've got Honey Nut Cheerios, and this is another great one. Definitely an improvement on the original. But I don't know if it's an improvement enough to go up a tier from B. So we're gonna keep it in B. It's a different take on it, not a super better one, but maybe marginally better. Just not enough for me to put it in A. Next up, we have got Honey Loops, a nice sort of definitely a sort of left field option. Not one of the more popular ones, but definitely worth having, I would say, once or twice. but its similarity to Honey Nut Cheerios is going to put it in the same B tier, because it's pretty much the same thing. Next up, we have got Crunchy Nut Clusters. I have a bone to pick with whoever changed the fucking recipe for Crunchy Nut Clusters. They used to be amazing. I remember when I first had them when I was little, it was like a mind-blowing experience. It was like, I didn't know Crunchy Nut could get better. If they had not changed the recipe, Crunchy Nut Clusters would be going in S, but they ruined it. I don't know what they did, but it tastes kind of bad now. It tastes like every off-brand rip-off that was a pale imitation, but now it has become the pale imitation. So for that reason, I would put it in C, but due to the fact that it used to be so much more, I'm putting it in D. Next up, Country Crisp. Country Crisp is alright. We're putting it in C. It's kind of acceptable. Next up, Crave. Now, Crave is a popular one, definitely. I remember seeing adverts for it when I was little. But I am just not a fan. Obviously, I'm not a fan of super chocolatey cereal, and Crave is really, really chocolatey. When you bite into it, it sort of spills into your mouth. And to be honest, it's like not good to me. It's not a nice tasting cereal. In fact, it's actually quite a negative experience. So for that reason, Crave is going in E. I do not have a craving for fucking Crave. Okay. Next up, we have got Lion. I have actually not had Lion. I think it's a nut thing. I'm not sure. So because of this, I'm again going to put it in C. All the ones that I've not had, we're going to put in C. Although I have had most of them. Next up, Nesquik. Now, obviously, Nesquik is a chocolatey cereal, so that's, not great for me. But it's definitely good. Of all the sort of chocolatey cereals, it's one of the better ones, and one of the most notable Nestle cereals. So for that reason, Nesquik is going to go in B. Next up, we got, it looks like 2 versions of Rice Krispies, regular and the multigrain shapes. Now, I really like Rice Krispies. I like when with milk, they are nice in your mouth. That is, of course, what she said. And they sort of, they snap, they crackle, they pop, and that's where the mascots come from. Again, a really popular mascot. Milk, resilience is not great, but definitely a notable one. So for that reason, Rice Krispies regular is going in A, but the multigrain shapes do not have snap, crackle, and pop, and to be honest, they don't taste as good, so we're putting it in B. And I know it's going to be controversial, but it's the truth. Next up, shredded wheat. Shredded wheat is iconic. It's a classic cereal, but taste-wise, it's just not really amazing to me. It kind of feels like often, especially when you have it without milk, it's like eating dust. But still, it's actually alright, and I would definitely have it. So we're going to put shredded wheat in B. Next up, we've got, what is that, Shreddies with, like, fruit? So, yeah, if you put fruit in your cereal, get out of my fucking face. That's going in E. Next up, Special K. One of the more plain ones, one of the less sugary ones, more of a health option, but still a great tasting cereal. This is actually one of the rare examples where a change in recipe brought it from, like, good to great. Or actually more like great to amazing. Definitely one that I have very often. And I actually developed my own cereal called the Bland Special, which is Crunchy Nut mixed with Special K. There is 2 versions. Well, there's actually 3 versions. There's 2. One of them is you pour both of them in, and then you sort of do this with your hand, and it sort of makes them into one thing. So, and obviously this is without milk. This is a dry cereal. If you pick up, there's a 50-50 chance you're getting Special K, 50-50 chance you're getting Crunchy Nut. The other iteration is Special K on the top, Crunchy Nut on the bottom, because it sort of like builds up to the sugary one. Both are great, and obviously for the personal connection, and just the great taste and the health thing, we're going to put Special K in S, without a doubt. Okay, my original camera cut out, but I care, so we're on the phone now. But we've only got 3 left, we're nearly done. First up, we have got Crispy Minis. It's another chocolate chip one, so to be honest, it's like, okay, we're going to put it in C. Next up, Weetabix. I mean, Weetabix is like, it's as classic as it gets. It's a great way to start your day. It's healthy, has a good taste, and unique level. These massive blocks, like there's really no other cereal that is like that. It's definitely the largest per piece cereal on the market. And obviously there's mini Weetabix too, which are nice. But the original to me is still the best. With milk, it is just amazing. Dry, not great. But regardless, nobody's really having it dry. So Weetabix is, to me, an S rank. There's really nothing else that you could put it at. Last up, we've got Weetos. A kind of plain cereal. Nothing fantastic, just a kind of regular thing. So because of this, I'm going to put Weetos in C. And here we have our final tier list. I think this is a really good one. Nothing went in F. If I was to put anything in F, it would probably be the Honey Monster, which gives me a kind of allergic reaction when I have it. I don't know what they put in it, what kind of fucking E numbers are in there, but it literally has like, it gives me a fucking illness when I have it. But the Honey Monster was not in this list, but still it was pretty comprehensive, covered all the major brands, and yeah, so definitely S rank. Crunchy Nut, Special K, Weetabix, to me they're just on another level that the rest of them, are not at. A, Rice Krispies, Cookie Crisp, Shreddies, Golden Nuggets, and Rice Krispies. I think I said Rice Krispies the first time I meant Bran Flakes. B, Cheerios, Frosties, Honey Cheerios, Honey Loops, Nesquik, Rice Krispies, multigrain shapes, and shredded wheat. I think those 3 tiers are really the only ones you need ever have. The rest of them are just kind of average or below average, in my opinion. Coco Pops, I think, will be the most controversial placing here because that's a really beloved cereal, but not one that I ever liked. At the bottom, we've got the cinnamon one, we've got Crave, we've got Shreddies with fruit, and we've got another fruit one. To me, just not worth your time. So with that, I would like to say goodbye to all the people on YouTube who watch me. I may appear in another year. I'll be right here if I'm going to make a rhyme out of it. So, bye-bye YouTube. See you next time.